Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Shooting Stars Live. I'm super excited to bring on our very special guest, KYR Speedy. Some of you guys know him, some of you guys don't, but let's be serious, everyone knows who he is. He's been a leading influence on the YouTube gaming scene for over 5 years, creating comedic videos on YouTube as himself along with his crew. Bunch of hilarious guys, but super huge honor to bring in KYR Speedy to the show. Speedy, what's going on, man?
First off, those are very kind words from you, Dan. I really appreciate it. I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm the second guest on the show, right?
Second guest on the show, yep.
Dude, I'm happy I'm the second person. That's pretty good. It's almost the first person.
Almost the first. You're number one in my heart, though, Speedy.
Oh, Dan. Oh, Dan.
All right, so really, man, thank you so much for coming on. We first met back in 2012. It seems like forever ago. To warm things up before we jump right into your story and everything, you know, we like to start things off by talking about some trending topics in gaming right now. And I know you're involved in a lot of the YouTube comedic gaming scene. But before we get into that, there's been a few cool announcements that have come out. The first of which, there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game coming out. Have you heard about that?
I have not heard about this.
Where
was I at? I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but I do know enough, you know?
Yeah. So were you growing up? Were you a Ninja Turtle kid, or was that you're younger than maybe that crew that would have seen that?
I slightly missed that window actually. I'm maybe not, but I had some friends that were into it. I never got too into it though. That might be the issue.
What was your cartoon of choice as a kid?
Am I allowed to answer without any judgment?
Yeah, this is a no judgment show. This is all about you, Speedy. No judgment.
Okay, I might have been one of those SpongeBob kids.
Really?
Okay? I was a SpongeBob guy. There's a few other things too. I was a Scooby-Doo, Rugrats before SpongeBob really, but yeah, I was a SpongeBob guy.
Okay, I think our common ground is Rugrats, because Rugrats transcended, my generation. I know you're a bit younger than me, but we could rap about Rugrats and still know what's going on with Tommy and the crew and Pickles and everything.
Reptar?
Yeah,
Good old Reptar.
Yeah. All right, cool. So you're not in the Ninja Turtles game. I thought it might be on the fringe, but it's all good. But I do know that you just released a video on Far Cry Primal, and there's a lot of buzz about this game. You actually had a chance to play that. What are your thoughts on that game so far?
So I really didn't touch the story when I was out there to play it. I kind of just ran around and made friends or didn't make friends with the animals. And that was cool for me because I was having fun with the animals, taming them, making them kill people for me. And then the dude came over that was working on the game. He's like, by the way, you can ride 3 of these animals. And I'm like, no way. So then he put me on top of a bear and all this other. It was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And yeah.
So when that comes out, is that something that you can see yourself playing? I mean, what was the highlight for you?
The highlight for me was being able to work alongside the animals, which I guess you could do that a little bit in the previous games, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I mean, it was more like killing the animals and then using their leather for wallets and bags and stuff like that.
Yeah. So in this one, being able to ride them was definitely a lot better for me. And there was some Did you watch my video today?
I did see it when it came
Yeah.
out.
You see that guy trying to feed me chili and stuff? Apparently, he's the guy that lets you tame them all. So you just kept going across the map and finding him in a different spot, and he'd help you with some more things, and it was just interesting. It was definitely fun. I enjoyed it.
So you enjoyed your time with Far Cry Primal. All right, and the other thing that's it's been news in the gaming world that I want to get your take on is that Oculus Rift released their their price point and their retail version coming out. Have you had a ton of experience messing around with VR? I know you go to a lot of conventions and do promos for certain companies and their hardware. Have you had a chance to mess with VR at all?
I hate to disappoint you. I have never even worn one of those things on my face or anything like that.
Really?
So I've seen it every event I go to. Well, every major conference like E3 stuff like that. They always have it. It's displayed, but there's always a giant line for it. And honestly, sometimes the people wearing those kind of look a little silly, and I'm not sure if it's for me. But I mean, put me in a private area to do it, I'd give it a shot, I guess.
All right, cool. Do you have so if you had a shot where it's all right, Speedy, here's your own 20 minutes with the Oculus Rift. You don't have to wait in line. You're not going to get pink eye from 1,000 other people using it. I mean, is that something that you'd naturally be inclined to play and check out, or you think it's not for you?
Oh, it would be for me if it's in a private setting. I'm not sure. Maybe when it's more mainstream to be wearing some giant thing in your head, I'd be down to do it in public. But for right now, I definitely do it in private.
Okay.
It looks like a fun thing to try. It's like the next step in gaming, right?
Yeah.
You got to give that a shot.
Do you think you would venture off? So say when it becomes a full retail release, is that something you would experiment with your channel? playing Minecraft with the VR on or the
I would definitely give it a shot, and if I don't like it, then I'll just stop using it. You gotta try everything, right?
Well, that's what I like about you, Speedy, and this is one of the things we're going to get into later in the interview. But we met back in 2012, and you've had a ton of success, in all different aspects of what you've been doing, and you're exactly the same and as humble throughout this journey, because you'll never say it, but you've exploded in the past, couple years, even before that. But I mean, it's just everything to you. Like the thing I love about you is you're Midwest, and you're just, you're just who you are. You're so humble, and that's often overlooked, with someone as much as success as you had.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Like that's what I try to do. Because I'm really self-deprecating about it because to me I'm just some nerd who plays video games on the internet, so I don't see myself as anything special, and I always say that. Some people might, but I just see myself as a guy who plays video games and wears a stupid headset and makes videos, so I mean that's really all I do.
So you're not rolling up to the club with gold chains on and you're like, don't you guys know who I am? That's not you and I.
Quite a distance away from that, I'd say.
All right, cool. Speedy, I want to transition to the next part of kind of our warm-up is I like to find out what you're currently playing. So I know what you're playing on your channel. You have, long-running Minecraft. You play CSGO with the crew, which is hilarious.
I'm addicted. It's bad.
What games are you currently playing right now, both on and off camera?
So basically the games that I'm playing on camera are the games I'm playing right now. Mm-hmm. So we have Minecraft. We have a little bit of GTA. A lot of Counter-Strike because I'm fully addicted. Most of my friends are addicted as well. We can't stop playing it, which is weird because it's literally the same thing every night. It's 5v5 on the exact same 3 maps we play, and every single time we absolutely love it. I don't get it. I don't get why it's so much fun.
But you've had some success in the ranks. I mean, it's not like you where are you at now?
Okay, so are you familiar with the rank debuff?
Yeah. Like I used to be like silver elite, and now I'm like a silver 1. That's all right. You can laugh.
I'm trying not to. But no, so I started silver 1 or 2, I think. Went all the way up to DMG. But I'm a boosted DMG to some degree because I'm playing with people that are better with me, and I'm playing with some people that are almost pro levels. So they kind of boost me up in ranks. And then once the rank thingy came out that reset kind of where people should be, I think I'm Gold Nova 4 now. So
wait, what pros are you playing with? Because last time I checked, Sidearms and Nobody Epic. I love those guys, but
I'm not sure if pro's the term for him, but we have a friend named Poland.
Okay.
And he's I guess maybe the slightest bit below that. I don't know where his level is because I mean I think he's great. He's better than any of us combined, so he's really good and he really helps us out. So
got it. So you play with him and you pick up tips and
yeah,
rank up. Cool. All right, cool. So the next part we're going to get into is to find out a little bit about the kind of the man behind KYR Speedy, and the first thing I want to come off and say is that right, wrong, or indifferent. There's obviously no judgment, but for you seem like you've had a ton of success. Your YouTube channels, you're well over 6 million on one and 2 on another. But if you Google KYR Speedy or KYR Speedy interview, there's not a whole lot on you. You're a pretty private guy.
Yeah.
It seems like that's pretty well. I don't want to call it strategy, but that's something that's fairly important to you. Where does that come from?
It's really I just don't like being in the spotlight too much. I kind of like just being behind the scenes and making videos, and if people want to watch them, they can watch them. I think this is my second interview of all time. We were in New York earlier this year. We did an interview with a guy who has a podcast out there, and that was to a really broad audience, which was kind of interesting because a lot of people watching this understand the gaming scene to some degree, but when you're talking to a general audience, they have no clue what the scene is, so you really have to be general with what you're saying. But yeah, it's just not something that I like to do, is just do interviews and talk about myself very often, but I want to switch out of that comfort zone and maybe do it more. So this is a good step towards that, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I like to do a lot of research. I've been following you since we met, back at E3, but, I've tried to find everything I can, on you, and there isn't a whole lot. I think what I came up with,
mystery man.
Is I know that you have a cat named Lily. From one interview, I know you have a cat named Lily, and you like Transformers. The Transformers movie. That's about the extent of it.
Those 2 tidbits are all you can find.
That's pretty much it. But considering everything you've done and how explosive your growth has been, to still relatively keep a very, very small digital footprint about your identity. You've been doing a great job about that, and I think that's almost the antithesis of what you see out of a lot of other people in your same scenario. Not that there's, one way right or wrong about it, but I found that fascinating about you. Does that come from like anything, your desire to be out of the spotlight? Does that, stem from something? Did you have a bad experience? Is it just not who you are?
I really don't know what. I've never had a bad experience or anything like that. I just have always been kind of introverted and not like always wanting attention. And that's just how I've always been. Like, I just. So I used to play basketball back in high school, and I had like a really good game. And the guy from the paper came over to interview me, and he asked me some questions and stuff. And then afterwards, he went over to my coach and said, I couldn't get a single thing out of that kid, you know, just because like I don't like talking about myself. So I guess he had a pretty bad sporting article for him, and I'm the one to blame for that.
Well,
So yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to creep you out, but I found a basketball article on you, and it
Yeah, that'd
was,
be the one.
yeah, something about along the lines of, your mom, had said, that you try to keep such a low profile, but when this interview comes out, it's like, it's alerting the other teams that now they have to watch out
Yeah,
for you.
the guy was asking me, he's like, "What type of moves do you like to do in the post to catch people off guard?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Well, I could answer this. I know what I do, but why would I want to tell them? Because other schools that are going to play me are going to read this. So why would I?
Yeah.
Why am I giving away my secrets?"
No, that's pretty mature for a high school basketball player. And speaking of high school, I want to find out a little bit like, you don't have to get super specific, but in terms of, how did you grow up in terms of, do you have brothers and sisters? Did you grow up in a small rural area? Did what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, I went to a small high school. I have one brother, and then like where I live, there's nothing here. So because of that, like I'd probably be a 10 times different person if I grew up in a major city, Like that's just how it works. But yeah, I just have that small town roots in me, I guess you could say, that has me this way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So growing up, you said you went to a small school. What was your school experience like? You're obviously very adept at basketball. Were you always good at basketball? Was it something that you worked on?
No, I was always just good at it because both my parents had like really good basketball roots, so I guess I got the genes for that, I suppose. Plus, being 6'5" really helps. I think I was 6'3" when I was in high school, so I was like one of the taller people in the school. But I just had all like the abilities to play basketball. Like I could dribble. I can't shoot really, but I could do everything else. So that helped. And then most people in school just knew me from basketball.
Hmm.
Not that we had a big school to start with, but if you thought about who I was, you'd probably think that I was just a basketball kid.
Hmm.
So I guess that's who I was in high school, the
Okay.
basketball kid.
Were you, on your videos and the K-Wire Speedy, the persona you present, and which is not really a persona, it's who you are. Were you the same way in high school? Would you joke around a lot publicly? Were you more of a reserved kid?
No, I was definitely more reserved than I am in my YouTube videos. Not that I'm too overly outgoing in my videos, but for me, I was reserved in school, and then I took all that wanting to like express myself. I didn't have a spot to do that at school just because like there's a lot of judgment in public schools and stuff. So I took that to YouTube and channeled that over there. So YouTube was in a way my escape, I
Hmm.
guess you could say. Not that I was having a bad time and I needed to escape. I was having a great time in high school, but it was just my place to do everything, I guess you could say. Yeah, and then I guess people found out about it, but it was supposed to be just like a place to go and have fun. Then it turned into something major and big. But yeah.
So growing up in high school, so you were, you're good at basketball, sounds like you had a pretty good, high school experience, but, you said there's an element of you that you didn't do things out in public. Like, I'm guessing that you didn't broadcast that you like video games or broadcast that you had a YouTube channel. Why was that, in high school? Like, you didn't express yourself in that way?
So back then, the materials and the stuff you could have to make videos with, like the capture cards for gaming videos, weren't that good. So you'd be making a video that would like have pretty bad quality. Audio quality wasn't as good back then either, and it wasn't kind of the cool thing to be a YouTuber back then. So I mean, I wasn't really going out of my way to let everyone know I did it, just because. I mean, my videos back then aren't that good. Like, I look at stuff I made a year ago and I think that was crap. And the stuff I'm making now, I'm going to look back at a year from now and say, oh, that's crap too. Like, I just have never viewed my content on like a pedestal or anything like that. So it's not something I wanted to like branch out of my comfort zone and show people. And if people find it, they find it. That's how I've always viewed it.
So at what point in your high school career did you start making videos? Was it your sophomore year, junior year?
I think it would be late junior year, and then I started caring a little bit more my senior year,
Hmm.
and then that. But I was still doing school and basketball at the time, so I didn't have much time to do it. But I think right after school let out that senior year is when I started doing a little bit more. So yeah.
Okay. At any point in high school, did any of your friends or people in high school find out that, you were KY or Speedy or that you were putting videos out there? Did that ever leak?
Well, I mean, no one ever really cared that I was KOR Speedy back then because I had like 500 subs max maybe,
Uh-huh.
so it wasn't like people were lining up to get autographs or anything like that at school. Definitely far from that. But yeah, I had maybe two or three friends that closely knew what I was doing,
Hmm.
and then I guess a few people also did, just because I guess people talked about it. I didn't know that at the time, just because I was oblivious to it. But yeah, I guess a few people knew, I suppose. So yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't anything where anyone that you didn't know in high school came up to you and was like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" Or you didn't catch any flack or harassment or anything like that?
Oh no, I never got harassed or anything to my face. I mean, maybe people were saying stuff behind their back because the videos were probably crap and they were laughing at me. But hey, whatever. It all
Okay.
worked out. I enjoy it.
All right, cool. Before we talk about, when you started spending more time on your YouTube channel, you've talked a lot about, high school basketball. The other thing I found out about you in a previous interview, someone had asked you, what's one thing you wish you could relive or a day you could go back, and you had said, you'd love to go back and relive a day playing high school basketball because that was a, great experience for you. What kind of success did your team have, and what kind of teammate were you, within the confines of your high school?
So I was supposed to be the leader on the team, but as you know, I'm not the most vocal out there guy. I mean, you can go to my Twitter and realize I hardly ever tweet. Um, so I was like the silent leader, I guess, and that kind of infuriated my coach, just because, typically on a basketball team, the best player is supposed to also be like the leader or whatever, but I didn't really do that. So I kind of just played and led by example is what I always tried to do. So yeah, I guess that's just who I was in that regard.
So you were, I mean, so you're I mean, I don't want to phrase it like this, but you're the best player on your team.
I was one of the best two or three,
Okay.
I'd say.
And so everyone looked to you, or your coach looked to you to lead, and you were just kind of like, hey, let me do my thing, let me play, and let me lead in a quiet way. So were there any ever, I don't want to say altercations, but moments you remember as a high school player with your coach where it's like, you got into it, maybe not you, but an exchange that you remember with your coach, that may have had some emotion behind it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm like the most mild-tempered person ever. So like he could straight up be yelling at me or whatever, and I would just sit there with like a stoic face and not really, that's just who I am. I don't know why. But I knew he wanted me to lead more than I actually did. But yeah, that's just not who I am. And like I tried to leave that comfort zone and do that more, but it just doesn't work for me. And I ultimately go back to just doing what I do and not trying to attract attention.
Yeah. Did you ever? I've seen I believe it was your 2 million subscriber.
Yeah.
One of the most requested things that you've gotten was create a dunk video, which, I mean, I watched it. I've seen it multiple times. It's pretty impressive. Did you ever dunk in a high school basketball game?
Yes, I dunked a few times. It's like a really good feeling. I remember the first time there was a summer league game, and we were in like another gym, some other school, and first time I ever dunked in an actual game, because it's harder in a game because you're sweaty, the ball's like slipping out of your hands and all this stuff. Especially when you're not like the tallest person in the world and you like have to actually try to dunk it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I drove baseline and dunked over a kid, and it was like the greatest feeling in the world. And I remember the look on the other coach's face because he didn't think I could dunk. I bet just by his face, he's like, "That really just happened." But yeah, there was one time in a high school game, like an actual game, I stole it from the guy, went down and dunked it. So yeah, I did have that video on my channel because I have video of it. But I had to remove it due to privacy reasons. But
Got
it's
it.
whatever.
When
Yeah.
you on your first dunk in the summer league game, after you threw it down, did we get any emotion out of you, or was it just like dunk it and then sprint back on defense?
Literally just sprint back on defense. If I did that now, if I could go back in that moment, I would showboat it up a little bit. But yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't know how familiar you are with the NBA.
Yeah.
But there's like players in the NBA that dunk and just do crazy stuff. Russell Westbrook, like if he dunks, he'll like showboat and like really get the crowd involved. And then there's Kawhi Leonard for the San Antonio Boars, and he'll dunk it and just walk down the other way. And it pisses me off because I was Kawhi Leonard in high school. If I dunked it, I would just not celebrate. And that's no fun. Like imagine paying to come see a game and someone dunks it and they just walk down the court.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Especially in high school when it's so rare. You see, for a high school kid to dunk is huge, and for a high school kid to dunk on another kid, I mean, you would expect the kid to look to his high school crowd and like get them
Wasn't
fighting.
me. I wish it was me, but it wasn't.
That's hilarious, man. So from dunking on kids, how did your team end up doing? Did you feel like, you left it on the line? Did you guys have some success? Do you have like a hidden state championship ring you've never talked about?
No, so I guess my junior year is when we had the most success. We were the 14th seed in the playoffs when we beat the 3 seed. It felt amazing to do that, and I had a pretty big role in that game. I wasn't like the star of the team at the time because I was like more shy and didn't leave my comfort zone and realized like I was actually pretty good until my senior year. So that was cool. That was the farthest we made it. And then my senior year, we were a really high ranked team, or like higher ranked team. But then there was like a school that had their 2 best players injured all season, and then they had a bad seed because of it. And their 2 best players came back for that game that we played them in the playoffs. So then we just got destroyed in the playoffs just because they had 2 players back when they didn't have them all season. So yeah.
And was that
we left it all on the line, you know?
And that was your last high school memory, like losing to a team on paper that looked inferior but really wasn't? Like, do you remember walking off the court thinking I'm never going to play again, competitively, or what?
Yeah, I basically at that point I knew that I wasn't going to play anymore. I had college offers to play, but I turned them all down to YouTube. So
Okay.
at that point I had already known I was not going to play any farther.
Okay. So you're coming off your senior year. If you're one of the top players really on any team, I don't want to say any team, but if you're a top player in your team, you're going to get college looks. And you said you had some offers from colleges. What was it, like D3, D2?
There was some bigger name schools in there.
Okay.
But like they weren't like the big name schools.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking like the schools that barely just squeak into the Division I tournament and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it was mostly like the local Division III schools and stuff like that wanted me.
Okay.
But that wasn't something that interested me because I would have just sat on the bench until maybe my senior year and played a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather do something creative and fun that I enjoyed. So that's what I chose to do.
That's definitely a very mature decision to make, to see that and be like, okay, yeah, it's a cool opportunity, but it's not really going to happen. I'd imagine, like you said, it's not fun sitting on the pine for 2 to 3 years and then finally get to play your senior year versus like, hey, I'm going to do this. So when you're making this decision, there's obviously some money involved when you're turning down a scholarship. What was your family situation like when you said, hey, this is what I'm going to do? Were they supportive? Did they understand?
They wanted me to play,
Mm-hmm.
but they were also supportive of it. I had scholarships from a bunch of other things as well, so it wasn't like the financial decision was too big of a risk for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I applied for a bunch of like sports scholarships. I don't even remember what they were for now, but I got them somehow. I got a few from basketball as well, just because I made like some all-star teams or something that also paid out some money for college and stuff. So it wasn't that big of a deal in that regard. So they were pretty supportive of it. My coach was a little disappointed in me. I think he wanted me to play. But he was the only one that was slightly pushing for it,
Mm-hmm. So you're saying independently did you get academic scholarships? What kind of student were you in high school?
I was a decent student. I wasn't like at the top of the class, but I wasn't at the bottom. I was like a B student,
Okay.
I guess you could say. But I also didn't really like push myself as hard. Like if I wasn't doing sports and stuff, I'd probably be a better student.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, high school's pretty easy. If you just like go to the classes and pay attention and do your homework, you can pretty much get a B. So I mean, that's why I always wonder how someone fails out of high school or something like that. It's not that hard to just show up and be there.
So all the kids listening right now to you, Speedy, I was saying just go to class, do your homework, and
that's what I did in college too. I was distracted by YouTube in college, and I still got decent grades. Just because I went to class and listened, it's not hard.
All right, so you graduate high school, you have some collegiate basketball offers, which is amazing, and you decide, hey, I'm going to go this other route. At this point, when you're a senior, say May of your senior year in high school, actually you probably had to make that decision sooner, depending on when signing day was. Where was your YouTube channel at that point?
I wish I knew the exact numbers, and you could find those stats, but it was not in good standing. I don't think I was doing well at all. It's just, it was something I enjoyed doing, and I wanted to keep going forward. Yeah, it wasn't until Modern Warfare 3 came out that I really saw like the slightest bit of success on YouTube, and at that time I don't think it was out yet, because I remember getting it early in college and people were jealous. So yeah, I don't think I had it yet. So I don't know why I even chose to do YouTube over basketball looking back on it, but I did.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So at this point, it'd be fair to say that when you're a senior in high school, you're just finishing up, you're not looking at this as like, hey, I'm, making, X amount of money, or hey, I can make this a thing. You just felt like that was the right move.
Yeah, it was just something I enjoyed. It felt more creative. I'd been playing basketball my entire life and doing other sports like track and stuff. I was just kind of sportsed out at that point, I guess you could say. I
Yeah.
still love him. I was watching him and stuff, but it's something I didn't want to just put time in every day because practicing for sports, it's worth it, but it's not something you get like you just wake up and say, "God, I want to play basketball for 2 hours today and run suicide drills and all these other things." So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so, so it's safe to say your heart wasn't in, or your heart was somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, can you take us into that conversation with your parents at all about like, hey, I'm not going to play basketball. You said you still went to college.
Yeah, I went to college for 2 years.
Okay.
So I went to college. They were cool with me not playing basketball. They didn't really understand the YouTube thing at the time, and I didn't really explain it to them that much, just
Hmm.
because like I didn't want them watching my videos, just because I wasn't proud of them at the time, but I enjoyed making them.
Did you tell them you didn't want to play basketball and you just want to go to college, or did you tell them I don't want to play basketball, I want to do YouTube in college instead?
Well, there's a really easy way to explain that to parents, Dan. All you have to do is say, "I would rather focus on my academics than play basketball," and it worked, Dan. Worked flawlessly. Imagine that. Imagine a parent wanted to hear that.
Good for you. So that's what you told them, but in the back of your head, you're like,
Yeah,
all right, I want to do YouTube and I'll keep my parents happy by going to college.
exactly. I have my own intentions, so
Okay.
yeah.
So you enroll in college. Is it a college that you moved away to? Is it a college that you commuted from home?
It's a college that I drove a few hours to get to. It's not like a main name college.
Okay.
A lot of people like here where I live and they're like, "Oh, he went to this school, I bet." But like there's more schools than just the main ones, everybody. But yeah, I just went to like some small state school. It wasn't anything special, so.
Okay, and this would be one of those things where, inherently I'd ask you, hey, Speedy, what college did you go to? But, for the sake of,
No one would ever hear of it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's literally just the smallest college ever, so.
okay, cool. So you pack up, you go to college. Do you know your roommate, or did you go in blind? Did you have a roommate? What was your situation like?
My roommate was a friend of my friends from high school, so we
Okay.
knew each other. We weren't like the best of friends in the world, but we like knew enough about each other. So we decided to share a room together for the first semester. Actually, he left after the first semester, so
Okay.
yeah.
So you moved to college. I'm guessing you're bringing your 360 and a capture
Oh, I
card
got it all.
and a
I got the
microphone.
TV. I got the capture card. It's all set up on my desk. Just and anything a girl would want to see when they come over to the door.
So so you set this all up. At some point, like, did your roommate know this going in? How
Yeah,
did
he
that?
knew I did it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I felt bad for him to some degrees because I mean I was still going to bed at decent time. Like I'd go to bed at 11 just because I had early classes the next morning. But he would go to bed an hour and earlier than me, and I'd be sitting in my room playing like Call of Duty or whatever, Modern Warfare 2, I guess when he was there. And then the room would be pitch black, and I'm like not really talking because at the time I didn't even talk in my own videos, just because like the audio quality wouldn't be good. I didn't want to scream I almost said hotel room, but a dorm room, and wake people up. But then someone would throw a flashbang at me and light the whole screen up bright white, and then that illuminates the whole room. And then my roommate wakes up and yells at me. Not that he ever really yelled at me, but yeah, I just felt bad whenever the flashbang would light up the entire room, you know. So I tried to be as courteous as possible, as quiet as I could be, just because at that time in my videos the only thing I was highlighting was what my friends were saying, what they were doing, just because I didn't talk in the videos. It wasn't until a little bit later I started talking, I think.
And that's because you're such a nice guy in terms of you actually cared what your roommate thought, and you cared that you kept them up maybe some nights you should have. But that's just another small glimpse into who you are. And I think like us, you'll hear me bring this up a lot. You just seem like you're a really nice guy, and it's not a facade. And even setting up this interview with you, and we were going back and forth in the DMs, and you said all these things, and it's like people could construe it as like being a smartass, but I'm like, no, this is Speedy. He just really means what he's saying.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works. Like how there's such a fine line of being a smartass or just being genuinely nice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you actually see that because some people don't. Like sometimes I'll say the nicest thing to someone and I'm like, oh God, this sounds really condescending, but I'm truly not being condescending, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's what, like, it's just so different, and in a good way, that it's just like, you are who you are, and you just seem like you're a super positive personality, and the only people you really make fun of is sidearms, which I think we can all
Yeah.
get on board with.
He's just a cute little guy and sometimes deserves it, you know? So,
All right, so so you're a freshman at your college, and you're managing your classes and your videos, and you mentioned your first early videos, and I didn't know this. So your earliest videos, you're not even talking in them. So what are they like?
they're literally just maybe 2-minute videos of my friends and I playing the game, and like we did a series called Comedy Kill Cam.
Hmm.
So that would be us playing Call of Duty. If like a funny kill cam happens, that would be something I put on my channel. Looking back on it, the videos are bad, but I mean, that at the time it felt like something that was cutting edge and next level stuff. So we were
Yeah.
doing it, and it would just be my friends doing something funny in a kill cam, or maybe even me doing something funny in a kill cam, and they would react to it. You know what I mean?
Well, I
So
mean,
yeah,
you half-assed jokingly say it's like cutting edge, but this is 5+ years ago when stuff you're doing now is like, people know
yeah.
about it. But back then, like, you would,
The-
I can't imagine you would say this, but you're a pioneer in terms of things you were doing and things you were trying out. Did you know at the time, like, what was going on, or you just, how did you, at the time, what did you feel like you were doing?
It was mostly calculated in a way that I saw that no one else was doing. There was maybe one or two other people at the time doing comedy videos with Call of Duty.
Hmm.
So we found that niche or niche or however you pronounce that word, and that's what we aimed to, take that part of YouTube over. So it was calculated in that regard. It's just that nowadays it's almost impossible. Like, say if someone watching a stream decides, oh, I want to do this, go to YouTube. I bet someone else is already doing it because it's so saturated. But at the time, no one was really doing anything. So it was really easy to find something and home in on it and do it yourself and do it the best you could and be the only person doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And so at this time, so it sounds like you're approaching it more. Would it be safe to say how much time in college were you spending on studies versus your channel?
I was at the time I was only uploading, I think, every other day.
Hmm.
So I wasn't uploading as much or even less than that, maybe. It's hard to remember now. Um, and the videos were a lot shorter, so they're a lot less time consuming than they take to do now. So I really maybe played 2 hours a night, and that's basically it. And I was putting a lot of time into school. But like I said earlier, college, at the first 2 years, unless you're like doing some crazy degree or something, you're really just doing a math class. You're really just doing a speech class and stuff like that. Like, you don't need to take too much time out of your day to work on your speech class, you know? Like, I just showed up, gave a speech, and I got an A in the class.
Hmm.
So it's not like those classes are too involved. And then as you go, they get more and more involved where you really want to put time into them. But yeah, I got decent grades just showing up to class and listening because I noticed most people were sleeping or on their phones in class. So I figured if I'm listening, I'm already doing better than they are.
Yeah. So, so you're in your dorm room and you're making videos. Did anyone that you weren't familiar with walk by and be like, "What are you doing?"
Oh,
Or
all the time. So my first roommate left after his after the first semester, and then I moved up a floor and got a room with someone I competed in track against. And then we were roommates for that next semester, and then we got an apartment the next year after that. So it was me and him at that point. But for the final semester, I was with him in the dorm. He was like really adamant that their door stayed open and stuff, which I didn't really care.
uh,
So I'd be sitting there with my headset on. People would walk by. We were on I guess a co-ed floor, so we had girls and guys on the floor. But I'm sure I got some weird looks. I know I did. Some people were like, "Why do you play games all day, man?" And I'm like, I like to play games because I didn't want them knowing I did YouTube videos, so they didn't want them watching it. So yeah, I'm sure I got some weird thoughts and judgment. But I mean, that's life, you know.
yeah.
People are gonna judge and think about you in ways. So I mean, who cares?
So you consciously withheld. So they knew you played video games. They didn't know you uploaded videos to your YouTube channel.
To my knowledge, they didn't know. I mean, my roommate could have been telling them. I don't know. You
Yeah.
never know. I think a few of them probably caught on or overheard some of the stuff. I think that was when, I guess the second semester was when I started actually talking in the video. So I'm sure they heard more vocal stuff and probably heard some things. So yeah.
And you made a conscious decision not to tell people that. So said, "Hey, you like to play a lot of video games." Just be like, "Yeah." Did you ever get in depth with anyone that maybe wasn't in your circle and said, like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing"?
No one in my dorm room or anything. I made some friends in college, so they always asked like why they never like a few of them were like, "Why don't we see you out at like the parties and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just make YouTube videos." So I did tell those people. But that's because I was closer with them, and yeah, so those are the people that I told.
So even in college, like you were reserved and you didn't tell a lot of people that because, I mean, for fear of judgment or just for complication, or why weren't you more open about it?
I guess probably just the judgment. Also, like to some degree, you might have people that like want to ask too many questions to some degree. Like sometimes if you tell someone you're a YouTuber, they're like, "Oh, well, how can I do this? I can do that too. I can play video games and make videos." And then you have to answer all their questions, and then they want help with stuff like that. And I don't mind helping, but sometimes it's just little too much. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, and I think, I can't relate obviously, but in terms of what you've done, I mean, a lot of people would say, wow, look at what Speedy's doing. He's got, 6 million subscribers and, one of the most known gaming YouTube people in the scene. But what they don't see is, you grinding, you putting yourself out there for 5+ years. I mean, it's, I don't even have an understanding of how much you've done. Like, do you look back at everything you've done and like realize did it feel like a grind to you?
Yeah, especially when I left college to do YouTube. That was like the grindiest year of my life. Just it was so much work, and I did a lot of editing stuff then, so it was like incredibly grindy and working, and that was when it felt like work. And then I realized I needed to step back and have more fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So since then, I've been having a ton of fun. There's been a little bit less editing, but for my own sanity, I decided I needed to make that cutback.
Okay.
So yeah, but it was interesting because like at the time, if I had this many subscribers and Twitter followers and stuff, maybe I'd be more open to telling people because it's proven that it was kind of worth it.
Yeah.
But at the time, to be sitting next to someone in school and being like, "Oh, I'm some big shot on YouTube. Look, I have 1,000 Twitter followers." Like, that's not like something you brag about at the time or anything. So,
well, I can't imagine
no success there yet.
Yeah, I can't imagine you doing that anyway. I can't.
No, I never would.
Yeah.
One girl stole my phone one time and saw that I had 1,000 Twitter followers, like 1,400, I think.
Yeah.
And she was like absolutely floored by the fact that I had so many followers. She's like, "What do you do? Do you like follow a bunch of people and follow them and get them to follow you?" Like, she was like asking so many questions.
What did you say?
I don't remember what I said at all.
You have to have some explanation. I mean,
I forget what I said. I think I might just say I went to a big high school or something. I don't know. Yeah.
You're a big time basketball player.
It was kind of a big deal on the court.
I dunked on a kid in summer league. All right. So going back, you said your sophomore year was your last year in college, and you made a decision that, all right, I'm not going to go to college anymore. What forced that decision, or how did that decision come to a head?
It got to the point where my YouTube channel had grown to a decent point at that point, and I'm not sure how many views I was getting at the time. Maybe even like 5 million or something a month.
Okay.
But it got to the point that and here's my issue is I never really had a degree or anything that I was like too overly excited about in college. So I switched degrees twice. I wasn't really loving the one I eventually stuck with. So that helped the decision.
What did you choose as your major, the degree that you pursued?
Environmental geography.
Okay.
Which I'm passionate about. I absolutely love geography.
What were you planning on doing with that? That's
the thing. I wasn't passionate about that part of it. Like, I didn't know what career I wanted to get out of it or anything like that. It basically just turned into I picked that one and knew in the back of my head I'm leaving to do YouTube. So
like, whatever, you just threw
I'll learn about the mesosphere and the troposphere and then I'm out.
So you didn't forget everything. You still got it in there.
Yeah, I got it. I know it all. I mean, I know a lot about the countries and stuff like that, but I mean, is there an application that would have fit me? Probably not. So
no. I mean, maybe you're like the biome expert.
Yeah. So I guess it's 3 or 4 days before I go back to school. Everything's signed up. I'm ready. I have my classes set. I have my apartment set
for your junior year.
Junior year. Yeah.
Okay.
And after maybe a month or two of finally convincing my parents that I should forego my junior year, they finally agreed to do it, and we canceled everything, and from there on I fully did YouTube.
What was that conversation like? Because you can throw out, hey, I just want to pursue my academics. You can throw that out the window. So how did you convince your parents that, hey, look, I'm going to drop my degree program after investing 2 years to do something that's still unproven at this time?
Well, I pulled out the channel analytics. I showed them my growth. I showed them the chances of because at the time my channel was going straight up in terms of all the statistics. So I said, if these continue to go up, this will happen. It will turn into something big. Here's other people who have done it before me and they're doing better than me. And if I could do this, then I would be doing what they're doing. I also said, if this doesn't work out, maybe I go back in a year. I can take a year off school and then go back. So, I mean, there's always that option. I didn't end up having to do that, but that probably could have been what happened.
Speedy,
just take a year off and go back.
If for some reason things don't work out with YouTube, you'd be a hell of a negotiator, because you presented them no objection. So you're saying, hey, here's what could happen, and if this doesn't happen, here's an even better option.
Yeah. My friend Deluxe 4?
Yeah.
Everything I've ever learned about negotiating, I learned from him. So I guess that's where I get it from. He's just the master negotiator.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive. And you're like what 2019 somewhere around there, maybe. That's pretty impressive. So after about a month, your parents are like, "All right, do it." That's I
Yeah,
mean,
they finally agreed to it, and I didn't push it too hard, but I pushed it sternly, I guess. And luckily, it worked, I guess. So yeah.
and so when you made that decision to leave, did you feel like, all right, my parents have my back, or they at least understand, or was it kind of like they're just letting you do your own thing?
They probably had my back, I guess. I'm sure they were a little apprehensive about it just because it's such a bold move to sit. Like, because, no, like, when I first decided that I wanted to do this, I talked to my counselor at school and I'm like, hey, I'm probably going to take a leave of absence to do YouTube. And they're like, that's dumb. You shouldn't do that. What's YouTube? You know? So,
Yeah, of course, you're not going to get a ton of support from the university
nah,
you're at.
far from.
So do you move back home? Do you move in an apartment? Where did you go from?
I moved back home for the time being, yeah, just because everything was at home. It was easy to do. You don't have to pay for rent and everything like that.
Yeah.
Plus, my parents loved me, so they didn't mind having me there for a little while.
So you move home, you start working on the channel full time. Are you
Yep.
regularly checking in with your parents? Are they checking in on you? Do they check your analytics? What was that relationship like when you're trying to grow your channel at home and they now have an understanding of what you're doing?
They're like as hands off as could be with it. They weren't like intrusive. They weren't like pushing me to hear how I'm doing or anything like that. They just assumed everything was going well. They saw that I was happy, and I'm sure that made them happy. So they weren't like I said, they weren't intrusive with it. They didn't seem to like bother me about it.
Would you share milestones or cool things that happened, during that growth period? Would you tell them, or were you just kind of like did your own thing?
So I don't like back to my introversion. I don't like to tell people when I'm doing well,
Yeah.
I guess. So my parents didn't know I had 1 million subscribers, and my 1 million subscriber play button arrives at my house one day, and they're like, "You have 1 million subscribers?" Like they didn't know I had that, and I didn't tell them. Yeah, it's just that's who I am, I guess. I don't know.
That's awesome. So you're downstairs or wherever you are in your house just killing it, and your parents are
Yeah,
just completely oblivious. They
I
don't know
guess
what you're
so.
doing.
Maybe they did check on my channel and knew that, and they were just playing it off like they didn't since I never told them. But yeah, I guess so.
Before we move on, do you know like did your parents ever watch any of your videos and ask you about any of it? Like, do you remember the first video they watched or the conversation about any of the videos you've published?
No, I guess when I was first trying to get them to let me take off school, I showed them one of my videos so they could like kind of understand. And I forgot I have that little interesting intro on my videos. And like we don't really swear in the household very often and stuff, so that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, and you never
Um,
swear in your videos either.
I never swear in my videos. I'm just PG as can be, Dan. PG as can be.
So did you
That was
watch it with
interesting.
them when Jehovah's doing the voiceover, going like, "Hey, please like the video." If
Yeah, so that was the awkward moment when they first saw that. Um, yeah, interesting times, Dan.
Okay, so now so a year goes by, you're at home, you hit your million, and then at this point you're like, okay, like I'm guessing you have some idea that this thing, what you've planned, what you've worked so hard for is actually like starting to pay off. At what point was it like the floodgates for you when you're like, all right, this is it? I mean, because at some point you're rolling the dice and you're taking a risk. At what
Yeah.
point did that risk not really become a risk anymore and really materialize for you?
It was still even a risk when I was getting like 20 million views a month and stuff like that,
Mhm.
because that's great for now, but that doesn't translate to long-term success. And I was happy with it. Getting 4,000 subs a day, I'm like enamored with the fact that that was happening. Like the people chose to watch me out of all the channels on YouTube. I thought that was amazing. But it was still a risk at the time, and it hadn't fully paid off yet because you never know what the future is going to have.
Mhm.
But then Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and that's when my channel just absolutely blew up. Like there was months where I was getting 675,000 subs a month and just absolutely just taking my channel to the next level. And I wasn't ready for that because that's hard to be ready for when you have no background in video production and anything like that. And all of a sudden you have all these people flying in 15,000 subs a day demanding high quality content and stuff like that. It's hard to. You're just trying your best to make the best content you can. That's all I did. So yeah.
When and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, GTA came out in what, like 12 or 13?
It was 2013, I believe, late 2013.
And so at this point, you had already had what, a million, maybe a million and a half, maybe 2 million subscribers, and you still like hadn't felt like you could protect yourself.
Yeah, like I had no protection there, and then the channel blows up off GTA 5, and then that's when I'm getting 15,000 subs a day, and I'm thinking this finally is to a point where I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
with my growth, and I was always happy, but this was like a point where I'm like I'm content with the size, and it feels like this has all been a success at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was just such a surreal experience to see that many people choosing you out of all the channels. Everyone doing GTA 5, they chose me and a few other, but it was mostly just flying to my channel. It was shocking. So yeah.
Do you remember like a morning, like going to bed, maybe publishing one of your first GTA 5 videos and waking up the next morning and checking your analytics? Like, do you remember, like, is that pretty clear to you?
So I had never. I was always getting decent views on my videos. I was getting like maybe 300,000 to 500,000 views a day. It's hard to remember the exact numbers, but it was decent size. So then GTA 5 comes out, but at the time my girlfriend wanted to hang out that day. So I'm like, but GTA 5's out. Okay, we'll do it. I don't care. We'll make it happen. So I made a video as fast as I could. It's the most viewed video on my channel. It's like a GTA 5 video, and I put that up. And I go to hang out with her. The next day I check my channel, and that video has 1 million views in less than 24 hours. First time it's ever happened for me, and I'm like, oh my God, I should probably make some more videos of this. So then I kept making them, and yeah, they all started getting 1 million in 24 hours, and it was insane. It was
that's awesome. You'd mentioned that you had felt with all these people coming to your channel, you felt some pressure, and at this point, were you editing and producing all the videos yourself? It's
always all been just me. I've never had like an editor or anything like that. I've had like an occasional editor work on like a best of video or like a compilation montage or something like that. But for the most part, it's always just been me, just because I like to do everything myself, and I don't. If the video sucks, then I can at least blame myself and not feel like I'm blaming someone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. So you mentioned you felt this pressure, and then did you go into another gear? Did anything change from the production side once those first GTA 5 videos hit?
Basically, the pressure caused you to constantly have to make up new ideas and stuff. So we tried everything we could to make new ideas and just have fun with it. And my main goal with my channel is if I'm having fun, I would like to think my viewers are having fun watching it. So that's just what we always try to do: change it up and have fun and just play the things we enjoy.
Got it. And now you mentioned we, and I know a lot of people know what that's referring to, but you're a part, and you mentioned before you're a quiet leader, but I mean you essentially are the centerpiece of forming the crew with a lot of different really funny personalities, and everyone in your group really plays off each other really well. Can you talk about how that was in the early days and what you saw to kind of form that group?
It's absolutely amazing that I was able to meet them. Like, without them, I'm nothing. And they are absolutely everything to me. Like, they're the best people I've ever met. I really enjoy them all. They're great. At different points in our, I guess, career, you could say, people have been in different, like, roles. So at the beginning, there was maybe 3 or 4 of us that were really into YouTube. And then, like, my buddy Sidearms hardly did anything with YouTube. If you go back to his channel, he hardly uploaded maybe once a month or something. But in the past, he's recently come up, and now he's like one of the forefronts of it all, and he's the one making a lot of content as well. And other people have started making less content just because they're focusing more on their personal lives. And it's just amazing to have such a group of people that make it all come together and make you. Because a lot of YouTubers I know are kind of like, they feel lonely in a sense because they don't have a group to work with. Like people who make solo videos only, they don't have the fact, like, if there's a night I don't want to make videos, then we just all hop in a call and we just talk and enjoy each other's company and stuff like that. So it's definitely amazing to have them. Look, your chat's all putting Bible thump, Dan. Can you tell them to stop putting Bible thump?
Well, no, I mean, like, this is...
Was that really that sappy?
No, this is another glimpse into who you are. Like, you're not saying, like, hey, this is strictly a business relationship. You enjoy those guys. You enjoy hanging out with them. And, I like to think I know that's refreshing, but I can't imagine it's like that for everyone, So, but once again, like, people may say it's lucky, but it's not. You're very deliberate, and I think what you put out, very genuine personalities attracted that back in, and later on, I've had a chance to talk to a few of your friends about you. We're going to get to that later, and the feeling's reciprocal, and I think that's for you. I think you hit it on the head. You know, you get to essentially hang out with your friends, and you found a way to make a career of that, and that's got to feel awesome.
No, it feels amazing. They always have my back. Like, I never defend myself. So if someone like comes on Twitter and says, "Hey, KYR Speedy, your videos are crap," I'll just be like, "Oh, whatever, it's fine. People can feel that way if they want." But then my friends attack them, and I'm like, "Guys, you don't need to attack them." But like, they just have my back. They always have. And it's just amazing to have them. So yeah.
Does any of that stuff bother you? Has there been anything that's like crossed the line, or is there anything that's really gotten you? Did you get to a point where you built up a tough skin, or did it always not bother you?
No, I believe me. If I never did YouTube, my skin would be 1/50th of how tough it is now. Like, anyone can say anything to me, and I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. And now I finally got in the past like 3 years, I think I finally got to the point where if someone says something mean, I don't care, because I see all the other positive comments that come in instead. And like, so many people have this inability to see the positive, and they can have 100 comments in front of them. If 95 of them are positive, they'll only see the 5 negative ones. And when I first started YouTube, that's what I saw. But now I just basically see the positive ones, and it's good to see that. So yeah, because there's so many of them, they deserve the recognition instead of focusing on the negative ones.
Yeah, no, and I think that you bring up something interesting. You said it wasn't always like that for you. You didn't always view it that way. Do you remember a point in time when you made that decision to not be like that anymore? Because it sounds like at one point, I mean, did you read comments and let it affect you in your early parts of your career?
Yeah, back when I think it was the MW3 times were like the last times I really cared. But there was like a video I posted, and it didn't get well received. And I've always had almost all my videos well received, but for some reason this one just didn't do well. I tried a new series, it didn't work out well, and people were being mean about it. And I was sad that day, because I'm like, but I was really happy about this, and I was excited about this video, and no one seemed to like it as much. And then I just remember sitting there and thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I mean, why focus on this? Why not make something better? And why let these comments get to your head? Just do something different, make it better, and keep going.
Do you remember what the series was that was kind of the turning point? You said it was Modern Warfare.
Yeah, it was a Modern Warfare death reaction series.
Uh-huh.
And in that game, you could kill people and say something. God, your chat's just Bible thumping again. You could say. So when you kill someone in that game, if they say something right after you kill them, you can hear that through your own headset. So you would be able to get their reaction to their death. So it was a death reaction series, and people would like rage and stuff like that. So I would use weapons that were kind of cheap and kill them with them. But then I switched the series around for this series. That series was really well received. And then I switched the series around in which I would say stuff when I died, and get a reaction out of them hearing me saying dumb stuff. But people didn't like it. I thought it was brilliant. It was next level stuff, Dan. I'll say it. But no one liked it. Okay, maybe the execution was bad. I don't know, but yeah.
No, but you can remember back to that point and said, all right, I tried something new. It wasn't well received, but you didn't let that affect you moving forward.
I wasn't going to let it deter me from trying new stuff in the future. And I kind of stepped back and said, these people are right. That was not the best idea for a series. So, I mean, why let it affect me,
Can you look back at all the series you've done and pick out a favorite that, you put your creative soul into it, that you put a lot of effort into, and regardless of how it was received, do you have like a baby or a favorite that you're like, I love this series?
Probably some of the old Ninja Diffuse series I did in Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did a series called Having Fun with Strangers, in which I would literally just go in the games and talk to people. I've since cut that series because it's a lot harder to find games that allow you to talk to people anymore, just because a lot of the games are like taking that element of talking out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm not sure if I really feel comfortable with like putting people's voices in videos anymore, just because they didn't really like give permission for it.
Yeah.
So it's something I don't want to do anymore. So it's kind of a shame. But yeah,
and not to mention, if you were to log into a Call of Duty game, or and someone were to hear your voice, they're probably going to recognize you, even though your tag isn't going to be
exactly it. That's the number one reason I stopped this series. I honestly forgot about those times where like everyone wants you to make more and more videos, but I can't make more and more videos because everyone in the game knows who I am now, and anytime I talk, they recognize me. I'll switch my gamer tag, I'll talk in a fake voice, and they still recognize me. It was impossible, Dan. I got to the point where I'm just like, I can't do these series anymore. As much as I want to do them, and people love them, I just can't do them because everyone recognizes me now. Because then you don't get genuine reactions anymore. You either get people faking trying to be in the video, or they're just screaming my name. And that makes it really hard to make a series on.
Do they scream your name, or do they scream dad?
No, they don't. At the time, daddy wasn't an appropriate word, but now daddy's the future. Man.
All right, so I want to wrap up this part of the interview with you, and you'd mentioned that, right after GTA 5 hit, like you felt like you were content. Not that you weren't content before, but you felt like, all right, you kind of made it, and you feel good about everything.
Yep.
Once that happened, what was that like, with your friends and family? How was that, when they knew that you had made it? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, at this point, everyone in my immediate life knew about my channel and the size of it and everything. I didn't really know if they watched the videos behind the scenes. They didn't really say they did, but they seemed to know I was doing well, so they were proud of me. It was mostly just they were proud of me. That's basically all I got,
Yeah. Did you ever was there anyone at any point, and I'm trying to pull this out of you, and I can't imagine you'll play into it, but I'll try. Is there anyone throughout your run of building your channel that's like, you're going to fail, or whatever you're doing stupid, whether in your friends or family, you don't have to call them out. And then now it's like, well, go look at my page now. Like, was there anyone that really doubted you that meant something to you along the way?
Yeah, there was a few of those people. Mostly, there was a few that I went to high school with that basically just said I was wasting my time. It was dumb for me to do this. I don't know if they know about my channel now or anything like that. I'm sure they do. There was a few other people I met along the way that basically just said you're not going to make your videos are crap and they're never going to be anything special. So then I just cut them out of my life. You never block them on Twitter though, Dan. That burns a bridge. But yeah, I just decided to let my work show for itself, and if I don't succeed, then I don't succeed. But if I do, then hopefully they see it someday. Or
Yeah.
I don't do things out of spite, but I mean,
Yeah. No.
I really don't care. But
All right. And my last question: did you go back to any of your high school reunions, or I'm guessing you only had?
I don't think there's been one yet.
Okay.
I don't think I'll go back, but maybe. I don't know.
You're not going to go in
I don't.
with a
I
gold
don't do
chain
the whole
on it.
Facebook thing, so I don't know where else. Wouldn't it be organized on Facebook, Dan? Is that how that works?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get anything in the mail for it? I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
I've never been invited to one. Maybe they all hate me, Dan.
Got it. So it's safe to say you wouldn't roll up there with your million sub medallion around a gold chain, like you would.
Okay, that thing. Actually, I don't know how heavy that is because the framing for it's incredibly heavy, but I don't know how heavy the actual million sub thing is. That could turn into a sick necklace, man. That's a great idea.
Maybe onto something here.
Yeah, we were on to something.
All right, cool. Before we head into the break, we do a little thing here called 21 questions.
All right.
And so it's going to be 21 either or questions. So, for example,
All right.
I may say, do you like cats or dogs better? And I know you're going to answer cat because you have a cat named Lily. So basically, it's just your quickest response without necessarily thinking it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you nervous at all?
Not at all, Dan.
should be.
I've been through this rodeo before.
All right, here we go. First one, CS:GO or Call of Duty?
Oh, you're really say CS:GO.
All right, dad or daddy?
Daddy.
All right, this may be the toughest one on the list right here. All right.
No, that was the toughest one just then, so it can't get any harder.
Heart emoji or donger?
Dongers.
All right. Sidearms or sidearms mom?
Oh God, sidearms. I've never met that wonderful woman, so I can't infer.
Okay. YouTube comments or Twitch chat?
Twitch chat, honestly, just because they could cure cancer. They're incredibly smart when they try to. Look at the chat right now; they're all spamming daddy. They know what they're doing.
Okay, and I didn't ask you about this, but I wanted to. You recently had posted on Twitter of you, looking jacked, and you're like, "Hey, I took some time off to work out from streaming."
Yep.
How's that been?
Returning February, Dan.
What's your return in February? So I wasn't going to ask that, but my question is, what caused you to make that decision? Were you overweight? Were you obese? Did you not feel good?
Oh no, I was not overweight at all. I was actually in decent. I was in great shape. It's just I just saw myself kind of starting to decline in terms of my health and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't eating as healthy just because I was doing Twitch for 11 hours a day, and then I was doing YouTube for another 8 hours a day. That doesn't leave time for working out or sleeping as much as it should. So I was declining in those aspects. So I just took some time to work on those, and I'm really happy with it.
Got it.
Plus, I don't eat fast food anymore and all that stuff, so I'm pretty happy about that because that I love fast food. It's hard for me not to.
So you cut out fast food completely?
I only eat it when I travel now. So since I was just in San Francisco, I might have had some In-N-Out Burger, Dan. But
that's if you're in California, that's a must. I mean, I don't care what diet.
It's a crime not to, Dan.
Yeah. So, real quick on that, did you just cold turkey? Did you wean off? Because that's
I weaned off. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe twice a week, and then I went down to once a week, and yeah, now I just have no desire to eat fast food anymore unless I'm traveling. So yeah.
So what do you eat now if you have to like cook or order out for yourself?
Oh, just ev- that's the thing. I don't know if anything is that fun to talk about, but yeah, just like your fun skinless chicken, Dan. Stuff like that.
So
It's not
are you
fun.
eating
It's
like
not sexy.
a chicken breast and like steamed broccoli, like that sort of?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I absolutely love broccoli. I always have. So that's been really easy for me. You get some rice in there. Lots of yogurts.
All
Some
right,
a lot of fruit and stuff like that.
all right, cool.
Which is a problem because I'm still trying to gain weight now, but eating healthy isn't the best for gaining weight. So I'm trying to figure all that out, and it's been interesting.
What are you
It's been
clocking in at right now? Because I saw the picture, and I mean, you're pretty jacked. I mean, you look
Yeah.
like you went from a small
Um,
forward to power forward.
Yeah, sadly, I've actually lost weight throughout that transition. So I actually last summer I was up at 221, the biggest I've ever been. But I wasn't fat or anything. I was just bigger. And then I got sick and I lost 20 pounds. So that was really sad.
What
and
kind of
depressing.
sick were? I mean, did you have a
I
parasite?
was really sick. No, I got mono or whatever that
Uh,
crap is. So I was out for a while and I just could not eat. So
were
I
you
really
still
lost.
making videos when you had mono?
No, that was my first extended break.
Oh wow, that's no
Yeah.
joke, man.
No, it was bad. Like I was completely knocked out.
Well,
Just laying on a couch for a few days. It was not fun.
I'm glad you're healthy now, Speedy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
All
Yeah,
right, cool.
I'm at 201 right now though.
All right, what's your goal?
I want to get to 215, but
Okay.
I don't see myself getting. I'm literally eating as much as possible, Dan. I do not gain weight, so I don't have the problems that other people have, but I got problems.
All right, that leads us into our next question, which you got to pick one: healthy eating or working out.
I would rather work out.
Okay. Next one: Jehovah Rage or Sidearms Bad Jokes.
Java Rage.
Okay.
No one likes sidearm jokes.
Kim Kardashian or Kanye West.
I don't really follow either, but I guess Kanye.
Okay. Do you like rap music?
It's okay. I don't specialize in it.
What's in your car if you're listening to something?
I like that silly EDM stuff, Dan.
Really?
Can't help it. I just love it.
Who's your
Yeah.
favorite?
I don't really have favorites. I just enjoy it. I don't like get. I've never been too overly into music.
Mhm.
I just kind of if it's on, I listen to it, and I just like the noises, the EDM music.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like would I ever roll into a concert and see like go to EDM concert and see like Speedy with like glow sticks and stuff? And
No, I'm far from the rave scene. Don't worry, it's not me.
have you ever been to an EDM concert?
I've been to a Skrillex a concert in Aspen, if that counts. I don't know.
Were you like jamming out, or you just kind of like?
I was kind of just taking it in.
Okay, all right,
Not the type to just like get crazy on the dance floor and do some Molly and stuff. So
all right. Next question is crew Christmas or real life paintball with the crew.
Crew Christmas. I'm not the biggest fan of paintball.
All right.
Never played it, but I don't know if I'd enjoy it.
Minecraft or GTA 5?
Probably Minecraft, just because I absolutely love Minecraft and never get sick of it. I don't know why. I just love it.
Okay. YouTube or Twitch?
YouTube.
Okay. Phase or Optic Gaming?
I respect both of them, but I know more of the Optic guys, so I guess Optic.
Okay. Have you? This question may or may not make sense unless you see. Did you see the guy, the 71-year-old guy playing piano on Twitch? Have you seen that?
Yes, we were watching him yesterday.
Isn't
It
he
was
awesome?
insane. Yeah, he's great.
All right. So that question, I wanted to make sure you knew who he was first. So Bob
Yeah.
Ross or piano improv man?
Oh, I gotta go Bob Ross, though.
Okay.
It would be a disservice to disrespect the Ross.
All right.
Get some Kappa Ross in the chat.
Yeah, drop cap for us. All right, next question is unboxing a knife yourself or watching Sidearms spend $2,000 and not open a single knife.
See, $2,000 is on the lower end of that. I would rather have Sidearms get one just because his reactions are more interesting to me.
That's not an option. It's either you got to pick one. Either you get a knife or you watch Sidearms burn 2 G's and not get a
Oh,
knife.
so he doesn't even get the knife?
No.
Okay, I misunderstood that. Yeah, I'll take the knife then. I don't want to see Sidearms suffer like that.
All right. Next question. We got baking soda or how to Minecraft?
Probably we got baking soda. Those are my boys, and then Ace 3M boys are my other boys. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
gotta go with the people you dance with. I mean, whatever that phrase.
Yeah,
is.
you got to go.
Dance with who brung you.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of, did you go to your high school dances?
Oh yeah, I went to all those.
Okay.
All the major ones. Yeah.
Did you ever ask a girl in a creative way?
No, I never did any of that corny stuff. I just status quo, normal asking, like, "Hey, you should go to prom with me," and they're like, "Okay."
Would
And
you
we went to prom together. So
Call
it was
them
cool.
or face to face?
No, face to face for sure.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, People actually call their dates for prom? Is that a thing?
I did that, but I mean, that takes. I mean, you're a closer, man. Between your negotiating skills and your ability to close a date, good for you, man. I'm
I'm not
impressed.
that. I don't know about that, but I mean, I just figured that's what you're supposed to do.
All right, next question: Eagles or Sixers?
Oh, they're both so bad, but I love them both. Probably the Eagles,
Okay.
just because. I mean, I feel like if they won the NFL championship, more people would care than basketball, just because it has a bigger fan base. Yeah.
Sixers have had a tough run at life, huh?
Oh, they're trying to lose, so I'm proud of them. They're doing good at what they're trying.
All right, next question is D4 getting out of silver or sidearms finally opening a knife?
D4 getting out of silver would be more impressive.
Okay. Next question is fella or feller?
It's Feller, of
Okay,
course.
feller. All right. Here's another one. This is a tough one here. All right. Dunking on Nobody Epic
Yeah.
or being a wingman for sidearms?
Wingman for sidearms for
Okay.
sure.
All right. Kobe or LeBron?
LeBron. I'm a Legod fanboy.
Really? What about LeBron or Jordan?
Legod.
What?
I love Le Beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
More
He
than
has so many people hate on him, and he's a good guy. Screw those people.
No, I
That's
think
why
he's a
like
great
him.
player, but okay,
Yeah.
so you prefer LeBron. If you go LeBron and Jordan one-on-one, who you taking? Like, who do you think's going to win?
Le Beautiful. Le Holy Spirit.
What about LeBron versus Kobe and Jordan on the same team?
LeBron wins no matter what.
Oh my God. Why do you like LeBron so much?
I just like him. I don't know.
Do you have
I'm
any
not like a Cavs fan or a Heat fan or anything like that. It's just
you like
I respect LeBron just because like so many people hate on him and like they're just mean to him and he seems to still stay positive throughout it all.
Yeah.
So that's where I've like taken that from in a way.
Yeah, no doubt.
I understand the whole decision going to Miami was pretty interesting, but yeah.
Do you own any LeBron shoes?
Not I have one pair of them, but I don't. They're not like LeBron shoes. They're just like his lifestyle shoes. I think they look kind of cool.
Cool.
So yeah.
Are you a
Wear
big
them
shoe guy?
Yeah, I like shoes.
What's your favorite pair of shoes that you own?
Trying to think. I have a bunch of the Nike SB Dunks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I like my Nike SB Ironmans. Those are pretty cool. I
Okay.
don't wear them much because they're like red and yellow and they don't really fit my personality. But yeah.
Did you get the Nike Yeezys when they came out?
No, I don't understand the Yeezy craze.
You don't. You don't like the first ones?
I'm not sure I'm familiar with the first ones.
They're like-
I'm not like the biggest sneakerhead in the world, but
No.
I enjoy like the shoes. I like know everything I know from Nobody Epic. So
Got it. Okay. And last question, speaking of Nobody Epic, and you got to pick one. All right. Courtside seats with Nobody Epic or 50-yard line with Jehovah?
probably courtside seats, just because I feel like being courtside at a basketball game is more of an immersive experience than sitting. Even at a football game, if you're 50-yard line, you're still pretty far back. You're not right up with the players and everything. So I definitely take courtside.
All right. What about courtside with Nobody Epic and sideline with Jehovah?
Ooh. Honestly, I've been courtside before at seats, so I'd probably take sideline just for the new experience.
Okay. Even if it was a Chiefs game?
Even if it's the the Jaguars and the Browns, I'd still do it.
Hey, man, the Jags got some players. They got two good wideouts.
No, they do. Plus, Blake Bortles isn't playing too bad.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. When we return, we're going to take some questions from the audience, and then Speedy's going to see how he does in the Shooting Stars Ultimate Gaming Challenge. So he's going to play a couple games and see how his scores stack up against previous guests. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back in a few short minutes, so don't go anywhere.